Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 98. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Santa's little helper, Montrell Rice.
Santa's little fucking helper.
Hey, man, this is our Christmas episode. We're coming out on Christmas Day. Does that excite you? This is our present to the world. Yeah, we are, dude. It's going out Friday. This episode will go live Friday.
Oh, this is coming out on Friday. I'm thinking Tuesday. That's the day we record. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So,
Okay.
Christmas Day. This is our Christmas present to you, everybody. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Hope you guys are. I plan on getting drunk. This is like my first time getting drunk this year. I know it. I know I really don't drink that much, but after the year I had, fuck that.
I don't drink, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get fat and be a lazy piece of shit. Just like I'm not doing anything, man. So I'm gonna play some video games, watch some TV, and just veg out. And
yeah, I think I might watch movies all day that day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and watch some football too. I think the Lions play this Thanksgiving. So
no, don't watch them. God,
I'm used to it, bro. It's
hurt
all
yourself.
good.
Stop hurting yourself, dude. Don't hurt
It's
yourself.
It's not hurting myself. It's just like a rite of passage. And if they win, my day's great. If they lose, it's like okay, I expected this to lose.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so Montreal, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
I learned this. I think we both learned this earlier today.
Yeah.
Twitch is banning the word simp from streamers. Can't say it, and then people in the community can also not say it in their Twitch chat. I don't know how they're going to facilitate this, but they're going to ban people for saying this word. Apparently, how do you feel about that?
I'm just not going to use Twitch because that's my keyword.
Come on. How are they gonna dude? What a double standard this is, because you're gonna sit here and let all these hot ass, streamer girls, basically exploit these dudes, but then these dudes are still gonna come in and let themselves, be simps. Basically, they're literally gonna be simps, like straight up. And you're not doing anything about that part of it, the equation. You're literally just banning anybody from like labeling it a thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's an offensive word now. So like,
how is it an offensive word?
Well, to them, that's what the whole thing is targeted towards. It's targeted towards they know their audience. I was thinking about it on the way home as you guys were talking about it in the chat, and then I couldn't talk obviously, but it makes sense why they banned it. That's their audience, and their audience is offended by people who say simp. So if you ban the word, then the audience won't feel bad about what they're doing.
Dude,
therefore,
grow up, own it. Just take ownership of the word, like just own what you are. Because people are going to come up with another term to call those people. Like, do you really think that's going to solve the problem for Twitch or these communities? Like, no, they'll figure out a new way to say simp. Are you kidding me? This is the internet. Like, we make up words all the time. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Give it a few weeks. There will be an alternative to the word simp that will happen. So this isn't a solution to anything. This is literally a group of people who are very power hungry, taking and they're on a power trip straight up, and they're just using their power to do whatever they want. Simp.
Yeah, it's Twitch is getting ridiculous now.
Oh yeah.
The simple fact that they still have not said why they banned Dr. Disrespect is one of the most craziest, one of their biggest streamers, by the way. He's not the biggest one, but he's one of their biggest ones.
Yeah.
And they banned him for no fucking reason. And
yeah.
And we still don't have a reason why.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. He's making money on YouTube now, but it's like
but he can't stream with any other streamers on Twitch, which is like it's another example of it's just a horrible rule. Like, come on, dude. Are you serious? Like, you're banning. So you ban Dr. Disrespect and you don't tell anybody why, and then you don't even tell him why, actually, which is the most ridiculous part of it. Forget about the public. They don't actually have to tell us, but you don't tell the person you banned why you banned him. And then you say he can't stream with anybody on our platform. Like, we're going to ban them if they stream with him. Like, that's just a step too far, in my opinion. And to me, dude, if they're going to treat their streamers the way they are, they think they're bigger than their creators, essentially. And eventually it's going to come back to bite them the way that it's going to bite YouTube, like the way YouTube acts. Like, they're doing the same shit YouTube does. And they're starting to, and they're gonna cause this reaction where a new platform is created and people are just gonna go there, and
this is
Mixer
why,
wasn't it, but
yeah, I think Mixer should have stayed in. I
I
think
know, I know.
I think if Mixer had stayed in there, and then Doctor Disrespect, because didn't Doctor Disrespect get banned right after the Mixer situation happened?
Yeah, it was right around the same time.
Okay,
Um,
I think he could have came over to Mixer and brought all his viewers there, and I don't know. I think they should just kept with it. I know it was only like 2 years, 2 or 3 years they've been out, and they were seeing stagnant numbers, but I think they should have just kept on with it because everyone's getting tired of Twitch. Like I
yeah,
don't
I
even
mean,
watch
it's a
Twitch anymore.
longer term investment than a couple years or a few
Yeah,
years. You know, it's something that you're trying. You need to stick it in for the long game to make a dent. You know, and
yeah.
yeah, the fact that they got out so quick is unfortunate because there's an opening here. You know, Twitch sucks, straight up, like kind of sucks, and yeah, I don't know. So.
I'm sorry. Did you look at the very last message in our chat right now?
Oh my gosh, what's dude? There's some nonsense going on in there. Oh my god, I fucking hate you guys so much. That little emoji is like the worst thing ever. You guys are the worst. Okay, Montrell. So, there was another thing that actually happened on Twitter
This
today
morning,
or
yeah.
yesterday. Yeah, this morning. Okay, and
Uh,
yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead and go into it.
well, it was like yeah, it was yesterday slash this morning. I tweeted out before I went to bed, stop pre-ordering games, and I got pushback on that. And actually been thinking about it all day. It's one of those things that kind of been on my mind. It's not a big deal, but I'm really trying to see the other side of the argument because that's what I usually do in situations like this. Where if I know I'm wrong or something like that, even if it's a serious thing, like I would think about it all day and then come back to it, apologize to the person or whatever.
Hmm.
This situation, I genuinely cannot think of one good reason to pre-order. Like if you say pre-order bonuses, then that's not a good reason because they
That's horrible.
know,
That's a
yeah,
horrible
that's a
reason.
horrible reason. Like I know because I was trying to
Pre-order
justify it.
bonuses suck.
Yeah,
They're never
like
good.
that, like the pre-order bonuses for like the statues and stuff like that. That's the only time I may pre-order if I get like a really really good figure out of it, statue or
Mhm.
figure. But even then, I
Yeah.
don't understand why they just can't sell that separately, and I know why they're not selling it separately because they want to move the product. So they bundle them together. So I mean, pre-order. If you think about it in that aspect, pre-orders are just bad. They're bad for the gaming stratosphere now. It's not 2009. It's not
Dude,
like when
they were
fucking
bad in
Halo.
2009, bro. Like, dude,
There
pre-orders
was still.
haven't been a relevant thing, frankly, for most things that you can get.
I
Like, for
understood the
games,
reason for pre-ordering in 2009.
since,
If you
like,
wanted to get the game
2000.
first,
Ugh.
if you wanted to get the game first,
No,
digital. You remember digital
no.
wasn't really a huge
Okay,
deal
okay,
back in
but dude,
2009.
there were
It was
no
it was
short there were no shortages of physical, though.
there were
No, they're
certain
not.
games, certain
Certain
games,
games. Okay,
certain
that's what I'm
games.
saying. Largely, it didn't make sense even back then. Like for anything on
That's
PlayStation or
debatable.
Xbox, dude, anything on PlayStation or Xbox, pretty much there was no reason to pre-order. Like
That
zero.
that that is debatable.
I don't think so.
I would debate you on that one.
Nintendo, I will give you Nintendo. Nintendo purposefully like shortens supply they do it on purpose. It's a known strategy of theirs. But like Xbox and PlayStation games, like there haven't been supply issues since like the PS2, pretty much. Honestly, maybe early PS3 and early 360,
I think
but
yeah, I
dude,
think
mid
that first.
generation,
Yeah, I think that first 3 years, because I consider 2006 to be the start of the generation of that year, even though it
mhm,
probably started earlier. So
yeah,
I think the first 3 years there was a legitimate reason to pre-order stuff because there were shortages. I remember stuff didn't come out, or you had to go like when Metal Gear 4 came out. I remember I tried to buy that and I had to wait at least 3 or 4 days
yep,
before everyone got their shipments back for Metal Gear 4. Same thing with like I actually pre-ordered Halo, but I remember the line was wrapped around the block for Halo 3.
yeah,
Mass Effect 3, when that came out, the
mhm,
line was wrapped around the block, and um, they didn't run out of pre-orders, but they ran out of copies to sell, like just all on-hand copies for people because there was two separate lines, and the line to for people that didn't have it, they pre-ordered. like only 3 or 4 people were able to go in and get a game. Then they're like, I'm sorry, y'all, we don't have any more copies left to give out.
Yeah.
So I mean, in that aspect, like I said, I haven't seen Mass Effect 3 was the last time I've seen that happen.
But bro, I got that game on day one on Amazon, no problems. Like literally, I didn't pre-order it. I bought it the day it came out, no issues whatsoever. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Now there's literally no reason to pre-order anything. You can, like you just said, you can get day one on Amazon. I can go to GameStop right now if fucking Spider-Man came out, Spider-Man 3 came out or something like that, or Spider-Man 2 came out.
Yeah.
I can go in there and get it right now.
Yeah.
It may be the hottest game of the year, but I can go in anywhere right now. Walmart was like the sleeper place to get these games, but now like you can just walk into anywhere and get them because, and then let's say, God forbid, all the physicals are out. I can just digitally download it.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Unlimited supply.
Right. There's literally no supply constraints for digital games. Zero. There will never be a shortage of digital games.
Unless you're Nintendo.
You're right. They're gonna be like, we're limiting the sale to 5,000 copies. That's their next tactic that they're gonna do. Oh my god! Don't give them ideas. No. So, dude. Okay. So pre-ordering hardware is always gonna make sense.
That makes sense. And I didn't push back on
makes
that
sense because there are literal supply issues with hardware. Same with
and I
peripherals.
made sure. And I made sure I let that person know. I was like, pre-order. I was like, games, not consoles. So I do agree with you. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and hardware, pre-ordering hardware is not a problem. That doesn't cause any issues. There's no issues with that. Pre-ordering a game though creates multiple problems because you're telling the publisher that they have your money without even playing the game, without seeing anyone play the game. They have you based off the marketing, which means their marketing is working, which means the next game that they make, they can even go harder on certain marketing tactics that worked in the last game. They can be more shady, which is exactly what happened with with Cyberpunk here. Is that game's marketing sold the game to 8 million people and they just pre-ordered it, and those 8 million people now have a buggy mess of a game. So it's if that number was 1 million, I think CD Projekt might have delayed the game. They might not have. They might have tried a little harder to make sure this game was working 100% properly, but they didn't. They didn't have to. 8 million immediately paid their development costs off. What do they give a fuck? They don't care. So that's kind of our point about don't pre-order, because what are you like? Okay, somebody asked you why shouldn't they pre-order, right?
And it was multiple people that asked me, and
and my response to those people is, don't ask Montrell why you should pre-order. Ask why you shouldn't pre-order. Ask yourself why you should pre-order, because the reasons are the list of reasons to pre-order a game are extremely small. There is one that I think is legitimate, and it is because you want to pay the game off early so that you don't have to worry about having the money when the game comes out. However, that's a personal choice where you could literally just put the $65 or, well, in this now it's like $75 aside for the game. Put it aside, like just get 4 20s and put them in like a box somewhere, save it for the game, and then when the game comes out, take the 20s out and go buy the game. Yeah, that's not that hard, and that's on you for not being able to do that. Like, if you can't manage your money to that point, to that degree, that's kind of on you, which is the point. You like the reasons to pre-order a game are just, they don't really exist to me. It's I don't know, and so many people do it.
Yeah, I understand that it's a habit from like when we first started. Like, I don't say first started gaming, because I didn't when I was little. I didn't pre-order games. I didn't start pre-ordering games till maybe the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation, but at the beginning of that generation actually. But now it's a habit. Like, no one's actually really questioned why we should pre-order, and I haven't seen any kind of articles about it. Like, I think this is the perfect time to talk about it, because Cyberpunk is an example of why pre-orders are really bad, because they already knew they had $8 million, or not $8 million. They had 8 million sold already. They knew it. and they knew no one was going to cancel their pre-order. They knew
Yeah,
it.
and they know they're going to sell a ton on top of that too.
Exactly.
You know,
And someone asked me, like, I did give one reason, and I said one reason why we should why this is related to Cyberpunk is because they knew they had 8 million, and that 8 million they knew they had was was one of the key reasons, I bet, that they didn't delay this game. I bet that was one of the main we don't even know how many they had pre-order on Steam or anything like that. We just know, I think that was just console numbers, right? The 8 million.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so so we don't even know how much they had on Steam, and by the looks of it, first day there were 24 million people playing. So I'm assuming maybe
Wait,
half to one third.
is that number real? Is it
It's
two
it
point
said
four million or is it 24 million?
I don't know. Maybe it's 2.4 million.
24 million sounds like an insane amount for one platform.
Yeah, it was the highest stream, the highest concurrent numbers. So maybe it was 24 million. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe it's 2.4 million.
Let me check. Keep going.
Yeah. So that's crazy to me. And they're gonna lose those. Well, I think PC wasn't gonna lose those pre-orders because that's what they had to show on console would have been relevant to console, and they would have lost, I think, half of those pre-orders if they had to show any console gameplay or let the reviewers review them and things of that nature.
Oh,
Um,
so here's the stat. So Steam overall hit 24 million concurrent players at once, which is a record
oh,
for them.
okay.
Cyberpunk contributed to that, but Cyberpunk itself broke 1 million concurrents on Steam. So that's at
Okay,
least 1 million copies that were sold on Steam.
okay, that makes sense then. Sorry about that.
All good.
But yeah, I don't. Um, I think that was the main reason they didn't delay it because they were going to lose that money. That was guaranteed money they were going to lose. So, of course, the executives were like, "No, you're not pre-ordering this. I mean, you're not going to cancel or not cancel, but delay this game any further. We have to release it, and you just have to fix it when it comes out."
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to their dismay, they did that, and now their reputation. They got the money though. They still got the money, but their reputation is tarnished, and not all the
Yep.
way tarnished because people are still defending them. So I guess I'll give it to the executives, man. They made a good decision because people are still gonna buy CD
Yeah.
Project Red stuff. Like this
Yeah,
didn't
but
really
dude,
hurt
their
them.
stock's like cratering though. Like it's lost it's lost like I think a third or 2/3 of its value like extremely quickly because of the situation. So they kind of did screw up, but at the same time they made a ton of money. So it's like being a public company is complicated. Making money isn't necessarily the most important thing for some reason.
Yeah,
Um, but whatever. Um, but yeah, the I don't know. It's just it's one of these things. Like even with a game that is I know is gonna be like niche, I still don't pre-order because I know
yeah.
I can get it digitally. Worst case scenario, I know I can get it digitally. So
Worst case scenario, they say it's not coming digital, and then you
that might be
know,
the only time I would think about pre-ordering,
yeah. But that has
which
never happened.
almost never happens anymore.
Yeah,
Like literally, I can't I can't think of the last game that didn't come out digital. Like I'm sure they exist, but I'm like, who would do that? Who would do that? Who would actually do that? Doesn't make
yeah.
sense. So given that an environment like that we are in, and when we get to the point where we're in the all digital future and there is no like we have made it to the future and it's all digital, there's no more physical games anymore, no more discs. When we get to that point, you motherfuckers better not be pre-ordering games still, like, because there's
There's
really no point at
there's
that
really
point.
no point. Like I know people say like the preload games or whatever, but I mean I can wait. I can wait for the download.
Yeah, come on. Like, okay, if your internet's really bad, I guess I can understand it, but I mean, is it worth it? Is it worth the few hours? Like, are you really playing the game at midnight? Like, just go to sleep and let it download overnight. It's like I don't know. I mean, that's how I am at this point. I don't care. I don't need to play the damn game like right the second it comes out. I don't. I'm not that
Yeah.
ravenous. So, I
I
don't know.
mean, we are older, so I had to look at it from that perspective. And maybe if I was younger, I wouldn't understand. But there are people my age who are asking, who are saying like, "Why should I stop pre-ordering?" So
Right.
I just don't know. Like, I'm genuinely concerned about gamers And I know people were trying to say like, well, it's a people thing in general that we do this, and you know, um, with other products we do this and
True.
everything of that nature, and it is true. I just maybe because I know we do it with shoes, so like, 'cause I'm a sneakerhead, or are you? I'm an ex
Kickstarter
sneak.
is big with board games too.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's just us, but it just seems like I don't know for gamers. Maybe because I am a gamer, I just want better for us. I think that's why I'm
Yeah.
going so hard on it because I really just want better for us.
Right.
And not to sound narcissistic, but it's just like there are few people who actually think that far. And I'm like, yo, this is one of the leading reasons why this happened. And I don't see anyone talking about that. Like, I'm surprised IGN didn't really touch on it. I'm surprised like no one else everyone's just focused on the glitches and how CD Projekt Red lied about the game, but they're not talking about why they lied about the game. And I think a
Right.
main reason for that was the pre-orders.
Right. And yeah, think about it this way. Like, honestly, when you make a purchase or a pre-order, right? Say that you pre-order the game a year in advance, right? A year is a long time. It's a long time, right? You're basically so confident that the game that you're purchasing is something you're gonna like in a year that you're willing to put the money down now. But things can change. Things change in that time frame all the time. It's very, very easy to get burned. And the earlier you go in dev for pre-order, like the further back you go, like 2 years before release or 3 years before release, the likelier that the game you're pre-ordering is not the game you're going to get when it comes out. That is and that's a bad investment. Like, I know it's $60 or $70 now. It's not like a real investment, but think about it that way though. You don't even know what you're getting when you put that money down. Like, does that make sense? Do you like put money into a, like, you order food on an app and you don't know what you're gonna get when you get the food? Like, no, of course not. Like, you expect the thing, so it's like you expect the thing to be the thing you purchased.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to do that. Like, that is bad. That is a bad use of your money. So I don't know. Just think about it that way. Because I'm thinking about Kickstarter, right, with board games, because that is a platform where you have no choice a lot of the time. If you want the game that's being kickstarted, you have to back it well before it's going to get to your doorstep, like a year and a half in some cases. And dude, I've gotten burned. I've gotten burned, and it's made me way more wary of that platform. Because it's like you can have all these pretty graphics, all this wonderful art. It just looks amazing, on paper. And then the game you get is not even remotely close to what they told you were going to get. And that is the worst. It's the worst. And it happens in games too. So I don't know. Just be more careful. Be more careful. Don't let yourself get burned by games like that. So
Yeah, I don't know. Just to add to your point, like Cyberpunk did change when you were able to pre-order it last year, uh, to now. They took out wall running within this year. And I remember them
right,
when they did it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that sucks.
right.
And they changed some of the combat mechanics and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. I don't know. That's my soapbox, and I will actually die on this hill of not pre-ordering. I will never probably pre-order. I haven't pre-ordered a game in about 10 years, and
Hmm.
I probably won't ever pre-order a game. So, or eight
Right,
years rather. So, probably
right.
won't ever pre-order another game. There's no point.
Yep. All right. So let's get into the show proper. For those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. Now, if you listened to the show last week, you know that this is a special episode that is going to be our Game of the Year discussion. Now, next week is going to be a reflections episode where we talk about sleeper hits in gaming history that Montrell and I think need to get more exposure. So that will be a different episode. And then the week after that, we will be back to the normal run of the show with news, games we're playing, and whatnot. So let's just jump right in, Montrell. Game of the year. Let's start. Game of the year 2020. Okay, let us start with our honorable mentions. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. So I have a bunch of honorable mentions. This 2020, I got to be honest with you guys, is has been in my opinion, has been a phenomenal year for video games. Like we have had just hit after hit after hit after hit. It's like it feels like every month there was just a huge fucking hit coming out, and these games all were good. Like I don't even know if there was a disappointing game that I played this year. I'm trying to think of one, and I'm really not sure if there is one. This was no 2019.
Yeah.
This year was really good for video games, and I'm glad I can say that because I do feel like sometimes not every year is as good as every other year, and that is it's kind of disappointing sometimes. So this feels a lot more like 2017. That was another really good year for games. So for me, I'll start with Barwick Saga. So I didn't want to make this an actual game of the year for me because it's an old ass game. And I don't know. It's a PS2 game that got translated, and the translation literally came out in like January of this year. But this game, though, I will say is probably my favorite game that I'm going to talk about today. This is literally the best SRPG I think I've ever played. It's extremely deep. It's extremely complex. It has a ton of content. The game is just really good. The story's really good. The world's really cool. The mechanics in the game are just like for an SRPG, some stuff they did some things that I had never seen in a game, an SRPG before. Like just the level of complication in there was just really good, and it all worked really well together. It wasn't unbalanced, which is very easy for an SRPG to do, is become a really unbalanced game. That happens quite often in those games. Berwick Saga was not that kind of game. It was extremely balanced. No matter what level you were, it felt fair. It never felt like the game was cheap. Like the battles always had solutions to them, even if they were really hard. And it just, I don't know, the game's just really good. So, um, so yeah, there's that one.
Yeah.
Sekiro. Obviously, this is not a 2020 game. This is a 2019 game. But I didn't play it till 2020, and this game just fucking rocked. I was so into this game for like a month, and it was a really fun month. Not gonna lie. The boss fights were just phenomenal. The mechanics of them, the whole parrying system was just so fun once you learn how to do it. And the boss fights were extremely rewarding. They're so tough, but once you beat them, you figure out the patterns and the rhythms of the parries. It was so fucking satisfying to beat the shit out of some of those bosses, after a few tries. And that when you finally did it, you like completed you like finished the boss, you beat the boss, and you like got all the way. It was so satisfying. So if you're into the Souls games, you're looking for something a little bit faster than that, or a lot faster, honestly. Sekiro is a really great game. All right, Montrell, why don't we switch off? Why don't you do a couple, and then I'll do a couple more.
So on mine, my honorable mention, my first one is The Last of Us 2. Like I mentioned yesterday, I thought this game was really great, but there are so many good games this year that kind of overshadowed it, in my opinion. But I will be doing it a disservice by not mentioning it as one of the greater games of this year. So that's why it's on my list. I thought the gameplay was good. I thought the narrative was good. Voice acting was good. For a single player RPG, it was really okay. Are you okay, Silas? What is going on with you?
Okay. He's shaking himself, man.
So I thought it was a really good game as far as that. It checked out all the boxes for me as far as a linear experience. I got a good 20 hours out of it, and I was done with it, and I like that. It didn't overstay its welcome for me. The next game on my list, I didn't complete it because I'm waiting for my co-host here to play the game with me.
PS5, bro. PS5 version. We'll do it when that comes out.
But Neo 2, I actually enjoyed this game a lot. I had a lot of pushback mentally with this game because I considered it a poor man's Dark Souls. And boy was I wrong. This game
that was a poor way to sell it to yourself.
I just thought of that because the first Neo, I didn't actually play the first Neo. I played like the first couple hours of it, and I wasn't too impressed by it because it was it just had a lot of great value Walmart things going on with it. The character looked like a great value Geralt, and I'm like, this is. And then the combat kind of looked like a great value Dark Souls, but faster. But low to my dismay, I played this one. You create your character and everything of that nature, and the gameplay isn't too much different from Neo One. So I am wrong about Neo One as well. Neo Two really surprised me because I was addicted to the gameplay. The builds you can do are fucking crazy. This
Yep.
game, like you thought in Dark Souls, if you're a Soulsborne fan and you play Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you can do crazy builds in that game as well. This game, like, takes that up a notch. You can do crazy builds. I was shooting ninjutsu out my fingers, like an actual Naruto character,
Mhm.
and it's not overpowered. If that makes any sense. And the gameplay is like super fast, and I just like the way the structure of the game is set up. They're like levels. They're not. It's not necessarily open world. It's like levels and things of that nature that you go through, or missions rather that you go through. And I think it's a phenomenal game. It took me a while to get into, but the I don't know if it's called a parry. It's not a parry system. It's like a what is it called?
You're talking about the counter system with
Not the not the counter system, but the other system where you can kind of regain your posture.
Oh yeah, it's the key bursts.
Yeah, the key burst system is fucking crazy. I like that. It's small, but it adds a lot of elements to your gameplay that I like.
Well, it allows you to be aggressive in your gameplay.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was just a normal stamina bar like Demon Souls, you do have to back off in that game. Whereas in Neo, the key burst system allows you to be continuously aggressive because if you hit it at the right time, you actually gain stamina over what you used.
Yep.
So yeah.
Not to mention, it's like 14 different weapons you can use. It's just a crazy game. I like it. I like how crazy it is, and it's way different from any Soulsborne game that's out there. To call it a Soulsborne game is actually doing a disservice. This is a game in its own mind.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Neo is a series that's just misunderstood, unfortunately, and it's probably not going to get fixed, but I wish
Yeah,
it would because yeah, it deserves a lot more recognition than it gets. It's a phenomenal series of games.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. Okay, so my next one for honorable mentions is Crosscode. I did just beat this game a few weeks ago, and I've talked a lot about it. I just wanted to give it one more shout out. This game, thinking back on it more now that I'm kind of removed from it, the game is really, really good and extremely well designed. It is just a constantly mentally exhausting to play, and I know that's like not a flattering thing to say probably about a game, but it's like playing Sekiro, but in the sense of it's not because of the combat; it's because of puzzles. It's
Mm,
stressful in the same way Sekiro is, but it's in puzzles.
okay.
Um, and that's like I don't know. I don't know of a better way to describe it because the puzzles are just so freaking intense in this game. It's absurd. So, but still, highly recommend that game if you're into puzzles, you like Zelda games, and you want something a little bit more intense than what Zelda will normally give you. Then this will be a pretty good game. It also has pretty good combat as well. And the next one I have is Apex Legends. Now, obviously, this didn't come out last year or this year either. It came out last year, but this is the year I started playing it, and this has become my new multiplayer obsession. Honestly, for Battle Royale, as PUBG began to fail us, we started looking for another game, and Apex Legends kind of became that game for our group of friends. And it has been a blast to learn and play and get good at it. And I've gotten way better at this game than I ever was at PUBG. Maybe I'm overselling myself a little bit, but I just we never got close to to a night of ever winning like 10 games in one day, and that we've done that playing Apex Legends. So the game is a lot easier to win. That's no question about that. But that honestly, I don't find that to be a problem personally. I actually like that because it makes it feel like you are actually pretty good.
Well,
You're
the
playing
game
well.
forces you to fight people. Like,
Correct, and that
uh,
it's so nice. Oh
people
yeah,
people in Apex Legends rarely camp. Whereas in PUBG, like camping is a legitimate strategy. Um,
I mean it's
that
the
I think,
strategy. That's how you win.
yeah, and I think that hurts the game more than a lot of people may see. Because like the main reason why we all went to Apex It's because of that Kerrigan map.
Mhm.
Without that map, I don't think we ever would have found Apex Legends.
Yeah, I don't think we would have realized that we were looking for high octane gameplay, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I think that map was so good in PUBG and was so different and was so much more faster pace and, encouraged combat so much more than any of the other maps that had ever come out in that game,
yeah,
that it was like it made I think it made all of us realize that we wanted that
yeah,
in our battle royale game, and Apex Legends is literally that game, you know,
yeah,
all the time. Doesn't matter what map you're playing. There is no camping map in Apex Legends. They're all aggressive. You're always fighting people. You're kind of encouraged to fight people. Yes, you can avoid people, but it's like, and that's a strategy, but it's not like the only strategy. You're not trying to
yeah,
avoid people until the final circle. You know, it's you actually do need to fight because you need. That's how you get loot a lot of the time, and it's encouraged us to fight, and we land hot like almost every game, dude. And some nights it's bad where we just die a lot, and some nights we get a bunch of wins, you know, and it's like it feels great either way. It doesn't seem to matter. I'm having fun no matter what. I really like that game. So I'm gonna continue to play it for sure. Okay. Montrell, give me a couple more of your honorable mentions.
Uh, Another one is Xenoblade Definitive Edition. I have the original Xenoblade, and I have Xenoblade. I bought Xenoblade twice. Oops, I bought Xenoblade twice, or three times now. I bought it on the Wii. I bought it
Yeah.
on the 3DS, the N3DS, woo, and then I bought it this game. And this is the only one where I stuck with it. I had to kind of back off of it because I wanted to play some other games that came out around this time too. But I got through like maybe 60% of the game. And yeah, this story, I see why everyone loves Shulk. He's a really good MC. He's not one of those dumb MCs. Uh he has one friend that is like the quote unquote Goku of the thing, but like
Yeah.
he doesn't overstay his welcome as well. Like
It's right time.
yeah, Rainer. He just I mean the whole cast in my opinion don't really fall to any like anime tropes, if that makes any sense. I mean, they got one guy who's like kind of edgy or whatever, but like I don't know, the story's really good, and it's not. I've been going through a dry spell with anime because of the whole, maybe because I burnt myself out of all the tropes, and this is the first game that really doesn't have, well, not the first one obviously, but the one game that kind of devolves itself of the anime tropes and stuff like that, because Shulk legitimately fails at some points. He comes back and he has to regain power. He's a smart MC, and when he makes mistakes, he's legitimately punished for it, for making those mistakes. And I like the story. Not to mention the combat is really good. It has like a pseudo like MMO RPG kind of combat, but it's
Yeah.
single player, and I
Yeah.
like that. In a three-party system, so it's really
Mhm.
cool in that aspect. So not to mention you can play as other characters and then build
Mhm.
them and then do crazy stuff with them as well. So you
Mhm.
don't have to play as Shulk. You can play as any one of the other characters and have them as a party leader and switch out. I think you can. No, you can't switch out Shulk. But
Yeah, you can.
oh, you can switch out Shulk.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be in the party.
He doesn't
It
need to.
just makes the game a lot harder in certain parts because
Yeah,
he has a specific ability set that's really effective against the Mechon, obviously. And
exactly. Yeah,
without him, it becomes very difficult to hurt that group of enemies, and those enemies are very prevalent in the game. But
yeah.
you can play without him, though.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. Most games I know sometimes you can't even switch out the main character, but this game it kind of encourages you to do it. And I played a little bit on the expert mode, and I think I might continue to play that expert mode because it's really
Mhm.
cool the way that works as well. So it's like a game almost for everyone. The only problem is it's super long, but that's like a Xenoblade game. I mean,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
them are super long, so uh,
It's just
this one,
worth it though, man. It's like one of the
yeah,
few games that's like super long that it never like it doesn't have a bad moment in it, you know? I can't think of a period in that game where I'm like, "Ugh, like I don't want to do this section of the game." It just like it doesn't exist. And I know I'm a fanboy, and I'm going to talk about this game in a bit, so I don't want to say too much, but you know, it just I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
And then last on my list, because I only have four honorable mentions. So last on my list is God of War, and I know this is a 2018 game. I think.
Yes, that is
Two-
correct.
I completed it this year though because it was in my backlog. So that's why it gets an honorable mention, not a game of the year. whatever. Because if the game did come out this year, oh boy, let me
Oh
tell
yeah,
you, it
yeah,
probably would have been my game of the year.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Combat, the story, the acting, phenomenal. And maybe because I'm a bit of a God of War fanboy and I have a history with this game, I know where Kratos came from and the way his character arc in this game progresses from where he came from is just fucking. It was like a cherry pie for the fans because we know there are certain points in this game that Kratos can literally go ape shit and beat the fuck out of people, but he doesn't because he learned what happened when he was in Greece in the Greek world of gods. And then to see his character progress from his son as well, from his son's perspective, to where he becomes a little shit. And one one point in the game, you love him, you hate him, then you love him again. Like, and
yeah,
I just
yeah,
thought that was like really good character design, or
yeah.
really good character development rather. And everything has emotion to it. It has weight. All the characters have an arc. Um, and they have legitimate reasons for doing what they do and why they do it. There's never a moment of like, why are they here? What purpose do they serve? Even your little NPC characters have character arcs, and those arcs are resolved by the end of the game. So it's
Mhm.
like I just think a 10 out of 10 game, like all around. And I feel bad for anyone who didn't play this game. You guys definitely need buy you a cheap
Yeah.
PS4 and buy God of War. It's probably like
Yep.
$10 now. So
Yep. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't get emotional playing games, but I'd say God of War is one of the closest games that's ever gotten me like close to being emotional playing a
yeah.
game. Like, there's just so many moments in there where like Kratos specifically is just like, you can like, from our perspective as somebody people who've played the whole series pretty much and gone through his journey before this game, it's like to see his growth is like really, I don't know. It's like it just makes me feel a certain way.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
By the
it's
end of the
like,
game,
I
you're
don't know.
just like, this is crazy. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just certain points throughout the game where I'm just looking at Kratos. I'll say the beginning of the game because it's not spoilers. A guy that comes to your doorstep and wants to fight you, like literally begging you to fight him, and Kratos is like, "Please go away." Like,
Yeah.
and
Right.
if you know this character is not "Please go away." This character is, "I'm gonna rip your fucking head off and then use your head as a lamp to guide me through the rest of the game." Because he
Yeah.
literally did that to a god. So,
Right. Right.
so for
Right.
him to, so for
Oh
him,
my god, those old games are insane, dude. It's in some of the ways.
so
You
for
literally
him,
rip off Medusa's head and use it as a fucking weapon to like turn things to stone. Like, it's so ridiculous.
so for him to just turn around and say, "Listen, bro, please go away. I do not want to fight you."
Hmm.
That right there let me know what kind of game I was in for because you
Right.
saw the anger in his face. Like, I want to rip you to shreds, bro, but I'm not because I have a son and I promise to change my ways.
Hmm.
So it's just a really good game, a really good journey.
Word. I got two more honorable mentions. My next one's Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm not gonna talk much
Yeah,
more about this. If you guys want to hear what I have to say about it, we talked about it a couple weeks ago in a spoiler discussion. So check that out if you want to hear our thoughts about that. And then the last one I have for honorable mentions is Brigandine, The Legend of Renercia. So this game is not good enough to be a game of the year for me, but I personally am in love with the game because it just hits all my buttons. And I've talked about this game ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into this very deeply. But yeah, just it had to make the honorable mentions list for me. So all right, let's get into the game of the year proper discussion. So Montreal, do you want to go ahead and give your first game? You want to that is one of your games of the year?
yeah. So my first game I have on the list. These are not in any particular order. I'll probably have one game by the end. I think me and Justin both gonna have one game that we choose after our discussions
Hmm.
as game of the year. We're not going to go into super wide because we're going to be doing that part now. But so Streets of Rage is one of the games that has nominees for game of the year. Streets of Rage 4, rather. It's a remake of one of my favorite games, a beat 'em up, side scrolling beat 'em up that stayed true to the side scrolling beat 'em up genre, but innovating it in a way as well. You can do combos, you can wall bounce people off the screens and do extra combos, and it's 2-player couch co-op, just like the original ones. If you play like Fatal Fury, or I'm sorry, Final Fight, not Fatal Fury, but Final Fight, or Streets of Rage, or Altered Beast, those side scrolling beat 'em ups. It grew up around that era. Even the Ninja Turtles or Battletoads, it grew up around that era. And Streets of Rage is one of those games, and they brought it back and they stayed true to that. You can tell the team did the research and are fans of the games, because you can actually play as the old sprites of the original characters in this game. They actually put in two characters, that you know two new characters that fit right into the game, and don't take anything away from it. The game is just as crazy and the story is just as wacky as the old games, and I like it. I thought it was like a really cool like indie game, and I don't know if it's considered indie or not, but it was a small team that made it, and they were actually doing the Streets of Rage remake. And Sega was like, "Hey, come work for us and you do it," and that's how we got this game. So Sega is the goat, but uh, I like how there's so many different modes in the game, as well as you can turn your TV screen into a regular. You can make it look like the old what they call it, CBTVs. Like you can make it look like that on your game, like
Oh
a
yeah,
filter
yeah,
and everything.
yep.
And you can play the old music from the game when you're going through these levels and stuff like that to make it very nostalgic. Or you can play the current music. And they have the original music designer from the original games designing music for this game. So, I
Mhm.
mean, it was just a fan favorite, like a thank you to the fans when they made this game, and I loved it as one of the fans. And I'm ashamed that a lot more people didn't play it. It's available on all platforms, and I think even if you're not a fan of, or you don't know what Streets of Rage is, I think you should play Streets of Rage 4 just to see what it's about. And that's all I got for right now for
Word.
that one.
Okay. So my first game is one we've already talked about a little bit, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So
Uh
yes. Oh, I know. I'm a fanboy who's surprised, Okay, Xenoblade Chronicles is on Justin's list. What a big surprise. But I mean it is what it is. I mean, this game, like I said earlier, is like it's just nonstop, like it's just a nonstop awesome game to me. Like I love I like, there are flaws to the game, I'm not gonna lie. Like the side quest system is a little much. I can't get enough of the game, so I'm fine with it, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who would play this game and be like, Jesus Christ, like I don't even want to fucking deal. Like you have to do some really heinous shit to like 100% this game, and it's fucking stupid. You have to go like run around and talk to NPCs at certain times of day to unlock new side quests, and then that unlocks new conversations, and then it's fucking crazy. So it's not perfect in those regards, and I think some of the material farming that you have to do from enemies sometimes can be a little grating. Even environmental, like adventuring sometimes is janky as hell too, because you have to do some platforming in certain places, and it's like the game's not built for that kind of thing, so it's like it can be a little awkward. The
yeah,
controls
yeah.
don't hold up in those situations all the time. So the game's not perfect. I'm not sitting here and saying that it's not. It has flaws, but like those things are so minor compared to the shit the game does so well. Like the storyline is just, to me, I put it, I mean, it might be the best JRPG storyline I've ever experienced in a JRPG, like period. And I say that with no reservation whatsoever. Like this game has an amazing cast of characters. There isn't a single character, and yes, I am including the annoying anime character, the annoying anime trope character that is like the cutesy little animal character. I'm
Yeah,
including that character in this because that character, even if they sound annoying, they have legitimate depth to them and motivations for why they do what they do, and they actually do contribute at times to the party. They're not just there as comic relief. So even in that regard, the game gives those characters something. And honestly, that one character, if you take that one character out, everyone else is just like amazing. They all have great backstories. They have a great like emotional depth.
Yeah.
They have they're explored just so fully in a lot of ways, and there's such great relationships that are built between these characters throughout the game that it's just you cannot help but root for them. Like they
Yeah.
are just so wholesome, and it's awesome. And I don't know, I love the game. And I think the other thing, this remake though, like, so obviously it brought the game's graphics up to a modern standard, but it also brought the game's soundtrack up to a modern standard. And if you remember, when I was initially playing this game, I did express some disappointment with some of the soundtrack stuff, and I grew to love the new soundtrack. I
Okay.
think it is much better than the original. It is fully orchestrated, and dude, I'll be honest with you, there are just certain areas in this game, like McConaughey's Field is just got one of the best fucking area like level themes I've fucking ever heard in a JRPG, and it's just the music is just so perfect for the game. Like it personifies what is happening on the screen, and that is something that I think video game music oftentimes does not get right. And this is one of those games that does. It fits the mood, it fits the theme really well, and it just sounds great. It's great music on its own too. So this game just does a lot right. The combat's really good. It's snappy. It feels as good as it ever did,
Mm-hmm.
and the game now looks really good too. So yeah, can't recommend it enough. If you're into JRPGs, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, please, please, for the love of God, check it out. This game deserves so much recognition. It's insane to me. So okay, Montrell, let's get your next one.
So my next one I'm not going to spend too much time on because we literally have 2 episodes talking about this game. You can check out those episodes. It's Ghost of Tsushima, and those episodes are in between episodes 80 and 81.
Oh, look at
Uh,
you going and taking a look, man. Look at this guy, man. What a
uh,
professional.
So yeah, I mean that's one of my game top picks for game of the year. I'm not gonna go into any depth of that. I think everything was really good. The combat, the voice acting, the traversal. I think the waypoint system is just one of the most innovative things I've seen in the video game in a while. That really took me by surprise. I know it's really small, but it coming from seeing years of just seeing a waypoint on your map and you run towards that little point to this wind that just guides you to where you need to go. I think that's just phenomenal. And then the different I'm a fan of samurai films, like actual samurai films, not anime. Um and the way this game persona or captures those camera angles, the emotion of a samurai film is just phenomenal. And it doesn't do it in a very anime-ish way. It's just, I don't know, it's just really cool how they captured everything and they didn't make it too tropey, if that makes any
Mhm.
sense. Like
Yeah,
every
right.
I think one of the biggest things they did was they turned the whole honor system of the samurai on its head and showed how that can be uh detrimental to
It
them.
can be a crutch.
Yeah, it can be a crutch to them in a time of war and stuff like that.
Right.
And then it showed the dichotomy between being honorable and dishonorable and knowing when to fight and or fight in the shadows or fight out in person. So that's my thing for that. I'm gonna go straight into my second one. I guess we both can, or my third one, and this will be your
Well,
second.
I'm going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima too, because
Okay.
it's actually it's on my list as well.
Oh,
So
I
let,
didn't see it on your list. I thought you
yeah,
were
yeah,
going. Okay.
it's yeah, this game, I had it like kind of as like my number one, but we're not really ranking these games. So
Yeah.
this is probably the game that I enjoyed the most this year, which is kind of crazy to say given all the games that we talked about so far. But it just took me by such surprise. Like this game took me by storm, straight up. Like we talked about this before. Like we were super skeptical of this
Oh
game,
yeah.
and
Super skeptical.
dude, it came out and it just blew me away. I could not believe this was the game that they had marketed, prior to release. And I was like, what? How did they hide how good this game is? Like it was insane to me that it was the game looked as mediocre as it did pre-release, and then it comes out and it's just this game's a masterpiece, man. Like straight up. Like this, I can't believe how much I like this game. Like I was, dude, I platinumed this game, and it just, I knew the second I started playing it, like, and I got like a few hours into it, I was like, I'm platinuming this game. This game is insanely good. Like this game's incredible. I don't care how much of a grind it is, and it was a grind. Not gonna lie, it was a bit of a grind, but I got through it and I ended up platinuming the game. And dude, it just was like the gravitas of the story was well done, but it wasn't like it wasn't overdone. You know, it was
Yeah, it
there
wasn't
was some
campy. That
right, it wasn't campy. Yeah, exactly. And they could have gone that route given the pedigree of like samurai movies and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um so I think everything about this game is great. The exploration was great. The combat is so fucking fun. Like it's insanely fun to play as Jin. And I think Jin Sakai is a really great main character, protagonist. I'm really looking forward to playing as him again in the future, if that's the direction they decide to go. So the game is just really good. Like
Yeah.
highly recommend. This is one of the best PlayStation 4 exclusives. Period.
Yeah, not to mention the technical aspects of this game. I think the longest loading time I may have had in this game is 30 seconds, if
Yep, it
that.
was unbelievable. It was, dude. It was often 5 seconds. You
Yeah,
know, it was loading almost like Spider-Man Miles Morales, but it was on PS4. You know, that's insane.
yeah, and not to mention the draw distance of the game. I mean, the game was running at a flawless 30 frames per second. I say flawless, like that's just really, but that 30 frames per second, in my opinion, did not take away from the combat of the game and everything of that nature. Uh, the look of the game, the photo mode. This is the first game I actually was just like all into the photo mode. Like I was taking pictures for no fucking reason. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a
Mhm.
great scene. Like you'll be in a bed field full of flowers, and it looks like a fucking painting. Like mid game, it looked like you're playing a painting, and I don't know how they did that. Like it's just the game's phenomenal. I recommend it to anybody who likes. You don't even have to like samurai. Just fucking play the game. Like for
Yeah,
real.
and dude, the duels are so fun.
Oh yeah, the duels are very cinematic.
Yeah,
Oh,
the duels are so fun. I love the duels. And yeah, frankly, this is what Assassin's Creed should be.
yeah.
So Ubisoft, take note. Get your shit together. So yeah, love this game. Okay, Macho, go on to your next one, which I think we're,
uh,
we're both going to talk about here.
all right, cool. So it's Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yep,
Uh, I think this game was snubbed at the awards, and
absolutely.
I still think this is one of the greatest JRPGs that probably come out in this generation. I know I held that to like Persona 5. Now people will hold that up to Persona 5. But man, this game, it took action RPG, JRPG combat to the new level to where I feel like even a turn-based person can love this game. You slow down
Yes.
time and you make your moves that way. And then you switch off between characters. Each character has their own move set, uh their own generic their own generic basic attack, and then they all have their special attacks or moves or whatever. Not to mention story was I would say very relevant to today. Like, it's an environmental story and things of that nature. They turned because that was the original plot of Final Fantasy VII as well, but it was really
Yeah.
fucking told bad. Like it was told really bad. In this game,
Yeah.
uh the direction of this game is very good to where you can tell they know how to make a story now. Square Enix does from when they were
Mhm.
Squaresoft. So you saw the growth in this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
They turned one disc into 30 hours, whereas, or not one disc, but they turned like a
Like,
couple of hours into the game into
yeah.
30 hours
Right.
of the game, and
Right.
it didn't feel bloated. Only time it felt really kind of bloated is when you're going throughout the town, but I think they did that to show you that uh, one part of the map, or Midgar, the lower part of the map of Midgar, has a lot of depth to it. It has a lot of people, it has
Yeah.
families and everything of that nature. So when you do stuff to kind of destroy a section of that map, you're like, holy shit, I just maybe have killed tons of people. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So, I mean, it has a lot of weight to it. The characters, I'll be honest with you. Uh, I used to be a Cloud hater. Cloud didn't talk that much. If anything, a lot of people don't know that you can change Cloud's name in the original Final Fantasy VII. So he was
Hmm.
kind of a silent protagonist. His original name was Cloud when you do your character or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, But in this game, he actually has a personality. I understand though he's not, even though he's like the stoic, like silent character type or whatever, but like he still talks a lot and he still has a lot of personality. And you see his character development as he starts to break out his shell because Barrett breaks him out of his shell. Like he has to, Aerith and Barrett makes him come out of his shell, and they're very oh, you're on my keyboard. Okay. I was wondering where you went.
Cat sighting.
But even Barrett, like he has, I didn't like Barrett in the original games because I really didn't think he had any character development. But he does. He has a lot of growth in this game. You understand his motivations and everything of that nature. Aerith, she was more than just a healer in this game. Like, let's be honest, a lot of people were upset that she died because that was their main healer. Let's just be honest about that.
Like he said it. Oh man,
yeah,
damn,
so,
dude, I totally, you just got me, bro.
Yeah, so like in this game, like she's an actual character, and
Yes.
I think her and Tifa had one of the greatest character developments because Tifa's not just eye candy; she actually has a character. She had character development in the older games too, but in this game, it's way more. You see her motivations clearly and what she's trying to do and things of that nature, and sometimes how she doubts herself and things of
Yeah.
that nature. I think the most impressive thing is I keep forgetting their names. Uh, fuck. Where are the names, Justin?
Well, what characters?
Jesse.
Describe them. Yeah, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge.
Yeah, Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. I think.
Remember the Biggs and Wedge. Star Wars. Think Star Wars. That's where the names come from.
Okay, I got it. I think these three characters are probably one of the best additions to this game. They were in the original games, but temporarily, like
They
weren't.
had like no lines. Most
Yeah,
of them, like they were
exactly.
like almost non-existent. Like they might as well not have been there.
Exactly. And they're an integral part of this game. And they actually have some of the best character development in this game.
Yeah.
I love these characters from the beginning to the end, especially Biggs. I think he was like just a really cool character.
Yeah.
So and Jessie was too with her crush on Cloud. I think it was crazy. And it was I not only that, but the game ran really good on the PS4. It looked fucking phenomenal. I don't even understand how they got this game to look the way it looked on the fucking
Right.
PS4.
Yeah.
And it hardly had any stutter. It ran at a good 30 frames per second. And I don't know, man, like through and through, this was a really fucking good game. Like an insanely good game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100%, man. This was another one that just like completely surprised me. I did not have high expectations for it.
Yeah,
And
same.
the game, I think the thing is we had higher expectations right around E3 last year when they really like deep dived on the combat. But I still wasn't like expecting the story to be anything close to what it ended up being. Like, dude, they completely. I think their decision to flesh out Midgar might be one of the smartest decisions they're going to make with this series of games
Yeah.
for Final Fantasy VII because it is such an interesting location. Like in and of itself, the rest of Final Fantasy VII's world, to me, from what I remember, is so just like forgettable that I literally don't even remember where they go after Midgar. I like can barely remember any of the locations in this game, but Midgar is the one place that always sticks out to everyone that plays this game because it's the first place you go to, but it is such an interesting place, that I think their decision to really flesh it out and make this entire game about that location was a really smart decision on their part.
Yeah.
And it made this game a lot more enjoyable for me. And on the characters front, dude, they hit a home run with like almost every one of these characters. Like I can't think of a character that I did not like in this
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
And I mean, there's characters I hated because of their actions, but I like they're well done characters though, every one of them,
Mhm.
And I think the primary party is really good. I think Barrett's honestly one of my highlights in the game. You kind of think he's like just like at the beginning of the game, he's very blustery and loud and like almost seems like a buffoon. But the further the deeper you get into the game and the more you interact with him and see him do things, like he has really clear motivations. He's a really sweet character. Like he cares so much about the people that he works with, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really like cool. I like him a lot. So but it's like those side characters though, like Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, dude. Like they fill this game out in terms of interactions, because if it was just Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa for the first part of the game, and then Aerith at some point, I don't think this game would be nearly as good as it is.
Mhm.
I think the quiet moments, a lot of the quiet moments that you get with Jesse and Biggs and Wedge are really what make this game like feel as fun as it does, because those quiet moments just like they develop Cloud a lot,
Yeah.
and he really develops friendships with these three characters, even though he initially doesn't want to. And it's like, but eventually they break through his gruff exterior, you know. And it's like it's just it's really satisfying to watch unfold, from my perspective. So the combat's also really good in the game. The redone soundtrack, it's just Square Enix. I don't know. Their composers are just fucking out
They
of this
just they,
world.
they don't miss, man. They
They
don't.
seriously do not miss. Unbelievable. They have the best music composers in the game industry. Period. Like straight up, the end, no question there, dude. I can't think of a game where they've had bad music. I can't. I can't. And that's like the one thing they always get right. So, and this soundtrack fucking rocks, dude. It's so good. These remix tracks are just like amazing. The normal battle theme is just so awesome. It has so much personality into it, dude. They're literally using like metal banging on pipes as like rhythm in the song. It's like it sounds so good. So gotta give them massive kudos for that. Also, just the cinematics, a lot of the cinematics are just like the set pieces are really well done. You know, they almost to me like gave Naughty Dog a little bit of a run for their money in some cases. Now, not all the way. Naughty Dog is kind of crazy with some of their set pieces, but
Yeah, yeah.
like for Square Enix, this was some really good stuff. There were some really good moments, particularly the tower ascension and what was that, chapter 8 or 9. You know, that whole sequence was really awesome, because you're dreading what's going to happen. You know, good shit, nothing good's about to happen. So that was a really great sequence. I think the ascent of the Shinra Tower at the end of the game too is like just, my god, like what a great sequence that is. I love that, because there's like little moments in there where there are like quiet points where you're like kind of just having fun with Tifa and Barrett a little bit,
Yeah.
and it like kind of comes out of nowhere, but it's like really cool though, you know. So they don't ever like they don't ever get too serious in this game, and I think that's also nice too. So
Yeah,
uh
I think this is one of the few Final Fantasy games. Some other Final Fantasy games did it. I think 12 did it. Can't remember if 8 really did it. But you have a clear cut vision of how Midgar is ran. Like you
yeah,
understand
yeah,
everything from the top to the bottom. They did a really good job at fleshing out this world to be believable, and I'll go to say almost realistic. Like I can realistically see this world within that universe being real and being ran off these
right,
Mako reactors and power and how everything's distributed and things of that nature. It gave a real economy to especially when you go to the little red light district area. It just gave a real economy to how things are ran and how real this world and how grimy the world can be at times. So, um, I thought that was just a really good direction they took that game.
right. Great game, recommended. If you like Final Fantasy, why haven't you played this yet? That's all I can say to you. Okay, Montrell, let's move on to your next game.
My next game is Devil May Cry 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not too much to say about it. I did do a couple of replays of it, and the reason why this is not going to be my game of the year, but it's still nominated for it. I think this is one of the greatest action games I probably played within the last 5 years. Uh, First it was like maybe Near, and before Near, my bar was set super high because I just came off fresh off Metal Gear Revengeance, and that was a
Mm,
platinum game as well.
right.
Um, but then Devil May Cry came back and kind of solidified itself on the throne. Because man, Does it just feel good to play as Dante? It's one of my favorite characters of all time, maybe top three. And you play as him, and you play as another character V, and then you play as Nero, which is like, which you find out later on that's his nephew. And I don't know. The story is just it's what you expect out of a Devil May Cry game. So I can't really go on about the story. It's just a fucking Devil May Cry action game. It's there just to serve action. But the action in the game is very fucking good. It's like a fighting game, but single player. Like I can't even describe like the amount of detail they went into for action games
I
in
mean,
this
that's what
game.
it looks like, dude. When I see gameplay of it, I'm like, dude, this is so this looks like so like
Hell,
complex, but in a good way.
yeah, and I
Like
love it. And they have simple mode to where you can learn how to gradually play, or you can just get straight into it if you know how to play Devil May Cry games. And that's what I like about the game. It's very accessible. I think the bar to entry for Devil May Cry was very hard, in my opinion, to do cool shit that you probably
mhm.
see on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff
Juggling,
like
yeah,
that.
juggling montages or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very hard to do that. In this game, they kind of simplified it to where they made a good medium ground to where you can learn how to do it and get really good at it, but you don't have to be the mad. You have to fucking practice it 5 hours a day. Because I was doing that shit with like Devil May Cry 4 and 3. Like I was playing this shit forever just to learn how to juggle, different enemies and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, uh, and then like the difficulty modes, and then in Devil May Cry 5 it was also like a tribute to the fans because you can put the old music in there from Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. You can change certain battle music when you get into a battle and things of that nature. I mean, it was just an all-around good game. They returned back to the roots because of DMC Devil May Cry. I don't think that game was really bad, but I know that's not with a heart. I'm a hardcore fan, and I was pretty upset with it because it did give us literally the middle finger. The character had the character in DMC Devil May Cry uh
mhm,
got into pretty much like a clown house or something like that, and there was a whole bunch of wigs. A wig fell on him, and it looked like the original Dante with the wig, the white hair and everything. And he put
yeah.
the middle finger up. It was like not in a million fucking years, and then threw it away. That was clearly a fuck you to the original fans. So
That's crazy. Wow.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so um, just coming off of that, and just this game, just getting its fans back and getting new people back into the game. Not to mention they released like some of the remasters and everything on the Switch, and I'm just glad this game's back. And I just think the combat's really good. When I played this game, and this is what I kind of wanted Kingdom Hearts to be because I thought the combat was. I compared the Kingdom Hearts 3 combat to this combat as
Hmm.
far as like being very technical and things of that nature. Because Kingdom Hearts 3
Yeah,
combat is really technical now. Um, just the first time I played Kingdom Hearts, it wasn't. They had to patch it up, and now it's really good. But Devil May Cry out the gate was just fucking phenomenal, and I really want to play the special edition. I just haven't bought it yet. So I'm gonna play as Virgil, which is Dante's brother, because he always does some crazy zany shit as well. So that's my fourth pick.
nice. Okay, my next one is The Last of Us Part Two. So this game was very controversial, extremely divisive. We did talk about it last week how it won too many awards because it did. Uh,
It
but
deserves some of those awards, but not as many as it
yes,
got.
exactly. So this game to me though is a very, very, very good game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it immensely. Looking back on it, I enjoyed this game way more than I thought I would going into it. Another one that surprised me. This is like a just the whole thing. The only one on this list that like I knew I was gonna love was Xenoblade, and here we are. The rest of them are complete surprises to me. But yeah, because I'm not a mega fan of the first game. I think the way a lot of obviously Naughty Dog fans are, they think it's like the pinnacle of video games. I don't think that at
yeah,
all. I actually think that game has really uh, generic third person combat. The story is really, really good, but that doesn't make your game the best game ever made. Games are more than their storylines, and they're also more than their gameplay. That's true in both directions. Sometimes. So, but for me, I think this game it upgraded the combat in ways that made it it's got its own. It's got a little bit more of a distinct personality than it used to. And there is some really cool shit you can actually do in this game compared to the first game. It's a lot more fluid and free form in the combat. You
Mhm.
can tackle encounters in so many different ways, which I think is the mark of a good shooter combat.
Yeah.
Where one approach is not always going to work in every encounter, and that is good encounter design. And this game has good encounter design all over the place. Frankly, I like. There's parts of the later parts of the game, in Abby's section of the game, when you're, I don't want to spoil anything, but the island you're on and all the kind of chaos that's happening there.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
some of the most fucking fun encounters in that game because you are fighting multiple factions at the same time and you are having to navigate them fighting each other, try to keep yourself hidden, and if you don't keep yourself hitting, trying to fight both of them at the same time. It's really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the best shooter encounters I think I've ever experienced. I love that part of the game. I think it's so super fun. The story, I think, is the part that's where the game is divisive. To me, it does stumble a lot. There's a lot of bad moments in this game that don't make sense. Ellie does some things that really piss me off. Um,
Yeah.
she like completely ignores her companion's need for help and is just so hell-bent on revenge that she kind of does some things that are out of character to me. For sure. I actually, frankly, I liked Abby's side of the story a little bit better, to be honest. I
I
think it
know,
was,
right?
dude, I know that's gonna piss a lot of people. That would piss a lot of people off, but I think her side of the story gives perspective on her in a lot of ways that I think, not to justify what she does at the beginning of the game, but really makes you understand why she did what she did, why she did what she did, and then kind of the game goes so far with her and Ellie towards the end that it becomes a thing of like, it's just like what's even the point anymore, and that I think it's actually kind of a powerful message, weirdly enough. It resonated with me more than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And so I do think this game is really good. I think it deserves a lot of the accolades it's gotten. I do think it is a little like the hyperbole from games media that kind of was reflected in the Game Awards, is that's a bit much for me. But at the same time, it is a really great game. So definitely recommend it. I frankly kind of do want to go back and play it. Still, I'm like, I keep thinking about it. It's like I want to do that second playthrough and do like grounded mode or something.
Yeah.
Uh, and really experience the game without the crutch of the sound mechanic, because I think the game will be brought to an even greater level. The combat will,
Mhm.
because you don't have that to rely on, and you really have to play the game well,
Yeah.
and like know how to manipulate the AI and navigate combat encounters. Um, so yeah, think it's a really good game. This is a really solid PlayStation exclusive. I think it's a really one of the, like, to be the second to last one is of a you know the PlayStation 4 only ones, is a really great game. So
Yeah.
worth
I
checking out.
100% agree with you. It was I never doubted that game. Well, I did doubt it because it was just the first game I really didn't
Mhm.
like too much. I liked the story, but I didn't think it was the pinnacle of like all fucking games or whatever.
Right.
Um,
Gift to gamers.
yeah. But I don't know this one. This game was legitimate. It was a legitimate game, and it had a legitimate story. The character motivations were very clear. I liked how even if some of the motivations didn't make sense for like Ellie, I liked how her lust for revenge was so great that
Mhm.
she made terrible decisions, and I understood it, and I like that. Even though sometimes it was a crutch to move the game forward, I still like that. And then by the end of the game, a lot of people were upset by the end of the game. I thought the whole thing made sense.
It does.
Yeah,
I think to go back to what you're saying about her decisions, I like the fact, I will say, as much as the decisions felt out of character at times, I like the fact that Naughty Dog took that to its inevitable conclusion, that she realized at a certain point that she made horrible decisions and like reflected on that within herself,
yeah,
and it culminated in the very, very end of the game.
yeah,
And I thought it was great.
yeah. So I agree with you.
Word. Okay. What's your final game, Montrell, on
My
your list?
final game, which really took me by surprise, I was not expecting to like this game. Oh, I did expect to like it, but not as much as I fucking did. Um,
Mhm.
Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is probably my legitimate game of the year. I platinum.
Wow. Okay.
This is my first platinum
I
ever.
guess that makes sense.
I platinumed this game. When I played it, I knew I was going to platinum. How you feel about Ghost of Tsushima? That's how I felt about this game. I don't know what to say, man. Like, it's one of those games where it's just so good that I was just like, it's hard to describe. You feel like fucking Spider-Man. First of all, the traversal, we all know he's web swinging, and the way they do web swinging in this game, you don't just grab webs off the air like the old Spider-Man games. You actually have to swing, like you actually swing to buildings and fucking
Mhm.
trees around and all that shit like that. It's very fun. Uh, you can fast travel in this game. I think I may have fast traveled. Only time I used fast travel was my second playthrough to get the platinum. That was it because
Mhm.
I was trying to hurry up and finish the game.
Yeah.
Besides that, I was traversing everywhere. The map is not too big. It's actually, I think, a accurate scale of New York because people say they see their apartment sometime in the game. They're like pictures of people like, "Yo, this is my apartment," and this is in the game. So I think it's an accurate map of New York, but it just
Yeah, most of the major landmarks are there,
yeah,
as far as I know.
yeah. So the Avengers Tower is in there. The story is really good. I think it's very superhero-ish, but it's not campy. It is kind of predictable. Well, they did throw me a loop for who the final villain was, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But they did that. They do that early in the game. Um, a lot of other people said they saw it coming from a mile away, but I didn't. So whatever. But uh, the character himself, Miles Morales, is a very likable character. He's a very relatable character. He's black and Puerto Rican, and
Mhm.
it does a really good job at showing. This is the first game, in my opinion, that does a really good job at showing both cultures, but not being offensive or very campy or anything like that. Kind of like how Ghost of Tsushima is. It shows the Japanese culture, but it's not super like really into it. Like it just shows their culture without making
Yeah.
it the crux of the game, if that makes any sense. And this game does the same thing. It shows the culture. The culture is a setting. It's not the main thing they're trying to push. It's not an agenda they're trying to push. And I
Right.
like that. I like how, yeah, Miles is just his own person. The people around him are their own people. They all have their own culture and own character flaws and motivations and things of that nature. The voice acting is really good. Uh, the character mocap is really good.
Mhm.
And for a superhero game, this is why I like this game so much. For a superhero game, it for it to get game of the year and be a superhero game is unfathomable to me. Like we talk about how bad superhero games are. They're mainly licensed games. The only one
Yeah.
that kind of broke that veil was the Batman games, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I held Batman Arkham Asylum to the highest standard of like what a superhero game should be. And then this game comes out, and I actually went back and played the remastered version too. That's how much I like this game. And uh, yeah, the remastered version should have went in my honorable mentions too because like you can tell the difference between Peter and Miles Morales. Peter is much more uh agile, or he's just as agile, but he's much more fluid because he knows what he's doing. He is
Mhm.
Spider-Man. He's a professional at this point. Not to mention like his quips and things of that nature. Like it's just so Spider-Man-ish. I love how corny he is. I just love uh everything about Peter. And then in this game, Miles Morales, I love how he tries to be like him, and then he's just like, I'm not gonna be like him. I have to be myself. And you see that
Mhm.
through his swinging and everything. He just becomes his own version of Spider-Man. And I do like how they say he's our Spider-Man. And to other people that may be racially charged, but I mean, fuck it. I like it. I like that he's
Yeah.
our Spider-Man. Like he's the black Spider-Man. He's the Hispanic Spider-Man. And
Mhm.
Peter is everyone's Spider-Man. Um, but we have a character that's my skin tone. I can relate to that character a little bit more than I can relate to Peter, even though I like how broke Peter is. In Miles Morales is not broke. His parents are
Yeah.
well off,
Yeah.
but it's just so the whole Spider-Man game series. I should have just put Spider-Man game series in general because both of them show a really good dichotomy with it. But I put Miles Morales because it doesn't overstay its welcome. The remastered version, the original Spider-Man, kind of overstays its welcome
Yeah.
towards the
The
end.
side content does.
The side content is crazy. But in
Yeah.
this game, they have a really good balance of side content that's manageable.
Mhm.
And I don't know, man. This game really took the combat was really good. The swing and everything, man. I was just blown away. And the music is really good too. It has like
Mhm.
these trap hip hop influenced beats. Like it's almost like the Avengers, but like with trap sound, with trap hip hop beats behind it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
crazy. I actually listened to one of the tracks while I'm working out because it's really that fucking good. It's on Spotify. So yeah, I think hands down this is probably my game of the year because I actually, even though I platinum, I actually just run into it about an hour and every once in a while and just play the game and then leave out.
See, that's how good it is, man. The
Yeah,
traversal, it's like crazy.
yeah,
And I'll say one other thing I like doing too is actually, I didn't do this much with Miles, but the original game is just kind of like stopping in random places and just seeing what's happening around you. You know, like
yeah,
what are the NPCs doing? Like, you know, what's happening on this rooftop? You know, it's like there's actually a lot of detail. It's like surprising for a game of this scope, honestly, and it's very impressive. Insomniac has done a great job with this series, and I am so excited about the next game, which I'm hoping we get within a couple of like 2 or 3 years,
yeah,
honestly, which is very very exciting as well. So okay, I've got one more game, and it is Genshin Impact. So it actually made the list for me.
yeah. I
Uh,
knew you were debating on putting this one on the list, so what changed your mind?
well, so the game, like, okay, it's a gotcha game. We all know that, right? I've talked about this a lot. It's a gotcha game, and it is a very unforgiving gotcha game in terms of spending money. However, and I'm Montrell, you can attest to this too because you did play it a decent amount.
Yeah,
The actual game, like the game you can play for free, is a complete game.
it's a complete product.
Um,
Yeah,
it is a complete product, and it is really fucking good. Like
yeah,
it's really, really good. The blemishes of what the gotcha are and the monetization do not show themselves until you finish the story content that's in the game. The point I am at where I'm logging in, doing dailies and doing, using my resin and then logging out pretty much and waiting for new content, like that is where the game is not going to be for everyone, and that is where the game turns into a gotcha game, basically. And that's something that appeals to me, but it's not something I recommend to anyone. My recommendation for this game is I have two recommendations. I have two different ones. Either don't play this game and just wait like 3 years and come back to it, and you will have a fucking massive video game that has legitimately is going to have like 7 or 8 full open world areas that are fucking as big as Spider-Man, all together in one map, kind of thing. And that's going to be an insane experience when it happens, when we get to that point. Or play it now, get through what's there, which is a decent amount. There's 40 or 50 hours probably of gameplay there. And they're about to add a new little kind of smaller area between the two main zones right now, in like a week. And that is, that's a good strategy as well. Put it down and then come back later, kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, what I will say is, like, don't play this game the way I'm playing it unless you are actually into the experience. Like, it's not worth it. Unless you actually like gotcha games, it's not going to be worth it. So, but that's the thing. They've designed the game in such a way that you don't have to. You can play it, dip in and dip out, dude, and come back later. Like, that's what's so interesting about this game's design is that it doesn't you don't have to spend any money to enjoy the meat of the game, the real actual meat of the game, which is the story content and the exploration of the open world,
Yeah.
which is a really interesting thing for a gacha game to do, especially one of the quality of this game, because this is like a AAA game, basically. Plays like one, it looks like one, it controls like one, and and even the voice acting and music are of that caliber,
Yeah. Yep.
voice acting in this game is actually fucking really good. Like it's kind of insane to me. Like I can't believe how good it is.
Yeah.
Because
This game is really good. I'm surprised I forgot to put it on my honorable mentions, to be honest with you, because it was just so many games this year. This game should have been on my honorable mentions list, but uh, like you said, it totally took me by surprise. I was super skeptical. I'm not into gotchas at all. You can tell from the first episode. I fucking hate gotchas. I think they're the biggest ripoff ever. Um, and
who plays them a lot, they are. Like the thing is, all of us who play gacha, like we know that this genre is fucking cancer, straight up cancer. But we are degenerates. Like I don't know.
and I respect y'all for that. But he is right about a couple of things. Like he's right that this is a fully fledged game. The combat is good. There's a legitimate system there. That I was
Really deep,
surprised. Yeah, really deep.
crazy.
Um, that I was surprised. It took me by surprise. I'll just give you an example. Like they have 6 elements, and one of the elements you can combine is like wind and fire or whatever. If you like shoot a flaming arrow into the grass and then switch another character that use wind, they'll do like a wind fire attack, and it's crazy. And there's even certain instances where the environments change your attacks up. If you're in a puddle of water or if you're on snow plains or something of that nature, they will change your attacks up and how it affects those enemies and things of that nature. So it's a really deep system. And you can combo and do crazy combos in this game as well. Um, the story is really good. They have an overarching story, and they have a system set up as well, like within the world, within the kingdoms, and it's kind of like I don't want to say Game of Thrones-ish, but you legitimately have like kingdoms fighting each other, and there's a story there, and it's a
Yeah, it's
actually
actually very political.
yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah, it's a very cohesive political story. And not to mention the voice acting is really good for a gotcha game. If this game came out to be $60, I would have paid $60 gladly for this game. Um,
Right.
so I can see why people get hooked because even the characters you unlock are some of the I don't spend money on gotchas. I put 25. I put $20 into this game, and I got 2 like 4-star characters that I like, and I'm cool. So you don't have to spend that much money on this game. I didn't have to do that, but I wanted more characters, so that was just me
Yeah, at this
personally.
point too, if you're patient, you get enough free rolls that you could probably get you can easily get a 5-star for free, at least one. I think 2 is possible at this point, especially if you play every day. But the thing is, like, you don't need any of those characters to beat the main content.
Yeah,
The
yep.
game is not that hard in that regard, so that's a good thing. If you're gonna stick with it, you are gonna start needing a diverse cast of characters, but at that point you know what you're in for probably. So and yeah, I'll be honest, the character designs in this game too are fucking just so good,
Oh
dude.
yeah,
Like
yeah, they are.
they know how to design characters, male and female, by the way. They got the husbando and the waifu fucking designs down pat, bro. Like it's nuts. This game to me almost puts like Fire Emblem to shame in some ways. Like it's yeah, the character designs are really good, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. This game is going to be going strong for a while. So yeah, that's my last one. Yeah, those are our game of the years. Marshall, you have any other games that you didn't mention that you thought of while we were in the middle of our conversation?
I don't think so. I don't think I played any other game. I mean, I may have played some other games, but I can't think of them right now because that's how many games I played this year. Is pretty actually.
I know I
One
played
game
more
that
video games
I
this year.
will stay away
I,
from if I were you. The game of the worst game of the year, I would probably say stay away from is Mario All Stars. Don't buy this game. I bought it and I regret my purchase. So
yeah.
there you go.
No, Montreal. I thought of one. I did think of a disappointment. This was so long ago that I forgot about it, but you saying that just reminded me is Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Oh shit, that did come out this year, didn't it?
came out in January, and I've been keeping up with it. By the way, the game is still in a shit state. It's not really fixed. I don't even think ranked mode for the online play is out yet, and the game has been out almost a year now. And yeah, so Blizzard, suck a dick. Fuck you. You somehow ruined one of my favorite games ever. So that's a great way to end it, isn't it?
But what was your which out of your five? Because I chose Spider-Man as my personal favorite of the year. What will be your personal favorite of the year out of those five?
It's Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. All right.
It, I yeah, I don't know. It's really close between these five. I'd say Genshin Impact is a fair bit lower than the other four, but like Ghost of Tsushima just is. It's a special game, man. It really is. Like you know that feeling you get when you're playing something special, and it's just like you can't believe you're playing something as good as you're playing.
Yeah.
That was my feeling every second I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm playing a game this good. And I just enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah,
So everything about it.
It was a close toss up between Miles Morales and Ghost of Tsushima. I think I gave Miles Morales it because I platinumed it and I just enjoyed that game a little bit, maybe like 10%, 5% more than Ghost of Tsushima. But I definitely understand what you're saying. I thought both these games, but Ghost of Tsushima was like the pinnacle of open world game design. Like this is how you do it. And then Miles Morales or Spider-Man in a different way. Like this is how you do this version of an open world. And I don't think anything. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to really blow my mind with another open world game to kind of compare to these. I know a lot of people are like Breath of the Wild, but fuck that. I mean,
whatever. That game's not even close. It's like not even in the same league as these ones.
Yeah. So.
I agree with you on Spider-Man. The reason Miles Morales didn't make my list is because I had already played the original back in 2018, and I do think that game is a probably a more complete experience. So Miles Morales is really good. It's just not all the way like there for me in the same way. So yeah, those are our game of the years, guys, for 2020. It's a lot of games we talked about in this episode, and we actually did it pretty quick here. 137. I'm proud of us. We can be very verbose, and we got it done. We got it done, man. So, all right, guys. So that's going to be it for us. If you like this episode, please like the episode, review the episode, subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on, and please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And like I said, next week we're going to be talking about sleeper hits in video games, so look forward to that as well. And we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Day. Enjoy it. You're probably not listening to this on Christmas, but if you are, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
If you aren't, we hope you had a good Christmas. And we'll see you guys next week. All right. Bye.